Well, tensions are escalating in the Ukraine significantly over this weekend as the bridge between Crimea and Russia has been blown up. And Putin has also struck back. So let's take a look. We got a declaration of war without rules. Russian officials are fuming over Crimea bridge blast as Ukraine celebrates.
Вот так сейчас выглядит часть железнодорожного полотна. Видно, что еще цистерны не убрали. Но движение тем временем продолжается, а вот с этой стороны как раз можно...
Russian investigators have reported that at least 3 civilians have died as a result of a truck bombing. The Ukrainian government sources have owned up to the attack, though Kyiv stopped short of saying it was responsible, even as top officials taunted Moscow. And here you can see the official Twitter account for the government of Ukraine tweeting, "Hey, sick burn," as if it's somehow funny that a bridge was destroyed and civilians died. A large section of the bridge made vital to Russian military supply lines has been totally collapsed, with entire sections of roadway having fallen into the water below. This incident, of course, coming soon after the Nord Stream pipelines were sabotaged. Now, in the aftermath of the major attack on Russian infrastructure, there's growing speculation that Putin could be poised to declare full war on Ukraine, escalating far past the currently dubbed special operation. Now, some Russian politicians are loudly calling for an equal response to Ukraine's own declaration of war in the attack, according to state media sources. The terrorist attack on the Crimean bridge is no longer just a challenge, but a declaration of war without rules. So the Crimean Peninsula is key to sustaining Russia's military operations in the south, and if the bridge is made inoperable, it would make it significantly more challenging to ferry supplies to the peninsula. Ukraine has also warned that the bridge explosion is just the beginning. Quote, "Crimea, the bridge, the beginning. Everything illegal must be destroyed. Everything stolen must be returned to Ukraine. Everything occupied by Russia must be expelled." That he even wrote in English. Now, previously, this aide of Zelensky, Mikhail Podolyak, previously in August threatened the bridge, saying that it's an illegal construction and that the main gateway to supply the Russian army in Crimea, and that such objects should be destroyed. Sounds reminiscent of when Victoria Nuland and Joe Biden were talking about the Nord Stream pipelines could be destroyed as well.
There will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it. I promise you we'll be able to do it.
Now, the New York Times has followed up to say senior Ukrainian official confirms that they orchestrated a truck bomb attack. And here's a tweet from Michael Tracy saying that the New York Times has confirmed the reports that the Ukraine orchestrated the truck bombing on a bridge filled with civilian motorists. It's a tactic commonly associated with terrorist groups like ISIS or Al-Qaeda. It's also how Timothy McVeigh blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City. Putin is also saying that the attack on the bridge is a terrorist act against Russian critical civilian infrastructure perpetrated by Ukraine. Putin's rival Zelensky of Ukraine was joking around on Twitter, putting out a video saying, "Today was good and mostly sunny day in our country. Over most of the territory, it was about 20 degrees Celsius and sunny. Unfortunately, it was cloudy in Crimea, although it was still warm." And here he is, very proud in this tweet.
Сьогодні на території нашої держави був непоганий і більшою мірою сонячний день. На значній території близько 20 градусів тепла і сонця. На жаль, в Криму було хмарно, хоча і теж тепло.
This guy is a total puppet actor of NATO, and he's got a lot of weapons, and he's getting a bunch of money, and now he's talking shit on Twitter. Zelensky followed up calling for NATO strikes on Russia, raising new fears that World War III is on the horizon. So Russia's invasion of Ukraine has sparked the largest land conflict in Europe since World War II, but Ukrainian President Zelensky is looking to make the war even bigger. So when questioned, he said, what should NATO do? How about eliminate the possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons? Said in provocative Thursday remarks. "I once again appeal to the international community And here's where Zelensky was calling on NATO to launch preemptive strikes against Russia to eliminate the possibility of a Russian nuclear strike. Yeah, that makes sense. A world superpower, and you're just going to preemptively, blow up all of their nuclear facilities so that they can't come after you. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and try that? Actually, how about you're on your own, leave NATO, leave the United States and the rest of the world out of it.
Що повинна робити НАТО? Унеможливлювати застосування Росією ядерної зброї. Але, що важливо, я ще раз звертаюсь до міжнародної спільноти. Як це було до 24-го? Превентивні удари, щоб вони знали, що з ними буде, якщо вони застосують, а не навпаки.
Now, Zelensky's press secretary has come out and said that this was about a meeting before February 24th. Preventative measures should have been used at that time to prevent Russia from unleashing a war. Just, disarm them before they can do anything. To which Russian foreign ministry accused the Ukrainian leader of trying to provoke a nuclear war, stating that every person on the planet should recognize that the unbalanced puppet leader of Ukraine, who has been pumped full of weapons, has turned into a monster whose hands can destroy the planet. Well, now Russia has retaliated, unleashing hell on Ukrainian targets, including in Kyiv. Power outages reported in several cities and hit with over 70 missile attacks. Here is a map of the locations targeted. And NBC News that reported Russia unleashed a barrage of deadly attacks on cities across Ukraine on Monday, hitting the heart of the country's capital as part of a wave of strikes against civilians and infrastructure not seen since the very earliest days of the war. President Putin announced in a televised address that his military had launched a series of strikes on Ukraine's energy, military command, and communications facilities, telling his Security Council it was revenge for what he called Kyiv's long record of terrorist actions, including the bridge blast. And he's also warning of more attacks through disclosed TV, saying an even tougher response in case of further Ukrainian terrorist acts against Russia. Well, I guess there's no respect for the referendums when parts of eastern and southern Ukraine voted to go back to rejoin Russia after their invasion to, liberate some of these populations that would rather be with Putin than Zelensky. And that is their choice. Is it worth starting World War III over? Well, Ukraine is obviously not happy about this, including the West and NATO, who would like to weaken Russia any way that they could. But this has backfired badly, and hopefully this won't continue to escalate any further. Russia is not playing games here, and this is not good, and we don't want to see any more civilian casualties in this, nor do we want to see nuclear war, which could affect most of the planet at some point. So we'll see how this develops. Hopefully with both sides standing down and creating some peace talks or something, but I'm not holding my breath yet. So certainly very interesting. All eyes on Ukraine. And that's all I have. So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.